So, um, hi, how are you, Jackson Heab? I am. It's a pleasure to have you here in this beautiful kind of like program because it's more like my first interview to an American content creator that has a lot of political things to say. So, who are you, man?
Well, I'm doing good, Kenneth. Thank you for having me on. I'm Jackson Heab. I'm a content creator based in South Carolina, and I make political content. I'm a political commentator and a video maker about all things political, and I'm a conservative.
That's great. You have also other pages as well because I can see that you also have the Fearless Media HQ. What is that though?
So Fearless is a debate conglomerate that I'm a part of. I'm a guest debater for them, so they put out some videos I put out, and we'll make collaborative posts. Fearless is ran by Cam Higby, who seems to be a very good guy. So Fearless is a group that I work with. Yeah.
That's great. And also, you saw that you working in Clemson College from Republicans. Are you? What is the college you are at right now? What is that all about? What is that about?
So I go to Clemson University. It's a college in northern South Carolina, a little bit more in the mountains near North Carolina. And Clemson is generally it's a historical military college, but now it's available for all
Oh,
people. And I'm a political science major, studying to possibly become a lawyer and or a political commentator. And
oh,
yeah, and I work with the Clemson College Republicans as their outreach chair to help get more people involved in the conservative space.
damn, that's incredible. So you basically are living your career. You're
That's the
literally
goal.
experiencing your career. That's a really good one. So before everything, like, how did you start? Like, what was your inspiration to start all this content? Because it's really heavy, but it's really good redacted. I can tell that there's like certain groups that misinform and want to attack certain ideas in people, but you have like this really simple form to not only debate to debunk some misinformation from other people. So how did you start doing that? What was your inspiration?
Well, a lot of it started with me just making debate videos. So, when Charlie Kirk passed, I got really involved in the debate space, started going off from campus to campus and talking to other students, and that's where I gained a little bit more traction initially. But as time went on, I had these ideas to make like debunk videos. And a lot of it really started because I made my first two videos were about like ICE and Planned Parenthood, but they were more so informational than like debunking. It was like rebutting the argument. But a lot of what started is whenever the Minnesota ICE shooting of Renee Good happened, because I followed that incident very closely because I wanted to make a video about it. And
Mhm.
as I was doing it, I was checking in to see like what are leftists saying, and I saw that they were like lying. Like a lot of leftists were openly lying about it. So
Yeah.
I felt that someone had to clear the air because no one was willing to, because leftists can be wrong, and being wrong is okay,
Yeah,
but
pretty much.
lying is very easy to prove. So I saw the video by Dean, and I was like, I can just prove that he's lying here, and I think I did. So that's what got me really into making my format because it was just when you see people lying like that and no one is like pointing out that it's a lie, it's like this is such a market that no one's capitalizing on.
Yeah, yeah, and that's really clever, because when I first saw you, you remind me from the clips that I saw in the 90s and 2000s when they have like these clips from like those MTV really odd videos that you saw like in 3 minutes commercial. I love the ambience that you use to make the videos because it's like in dark and white and people attract, like you can be attracted by that idea that you can like listen to this information. It's pretty good job. But by the way, I want to start. What's your take on ICE though? That's really important to me, man, because there's a lot of people that say that conservatives and people that have like MAGA conservatives, even people that are apolitical, not even political, have a logical stance like FAFO and those kind of stance. Like it's a police officer is just doing their job, just trespassing. What is your opinion about that?
So my opinion for ICE is sort of a bicameral, I guess. So at one level, I think that having immigration customs enforcement is really, really, really important because illegal immigration is a problem. A country is not a country without a border, and so that needs to be secured and it needs to be maintained. And obviously, anything but deportation for illegal immigrants is wrong because it allows them to violate the laws and get away with it. So, unfortunately, as much of it's not a pretty thing, it has to be done. But on top of that, I think that there is genuine criticism for reform because we are seeing some instances where ICE seems to be struggling with how they're implementing their authority. I mean, we're seeing the Alex Preddy shooting from I believe yesterday. Information is still coming out, but there have been a lot of very genuine questions raised about that. So I think it's important that ICE has a close eye on it from the government, and that ICE is maintained and is made a just force. But in general, I think that ICE gets way too much hate than it deserves, and I think that ICE as an institution and a concept is really, really important. We just need to work as a government to make it get better and better over the next 4 years, so that it's not seen as a net negative.
And what do you think about the last guy that ICE? Well, I don't want to assume anything, but the last incident with ICE and the guy that they killed, this 37 years guy. I don't know his name. Do you know any information about that though?
So from what I've seen, it's Alex Preddy. It's hard to know from all the footage right now, and information is still coming out. I'll be making a video when more information has came out, but currently it doesn't look great. It looks like the guy was already disarmed. It looks like the guy was on the ground and resisting arrest. But as we all know, resisting arrest with no weapon in your hand does not mean you can be shot. So it's important to say that in this scenario, from the information we have right now, it seems that ICE messed up. And the problem is that a
Mm.
lot of conservatives see this and they see that ICE messed up and they see it and they say ICE can't mess up. It was good. It was okay. And it's like no. Think for a second before you speak because if this guy was actually killed unjustly, it's like the police. Like police officers very often make mistakes and one cop will kill someone who shouldn't die, but our solution isn't to destroy police. So you have to be comfortable saying that an ICE agent can make a mistake, we can fix it, investigate it, enforce what should be done, but we don't have to get rid of ICE as a whole because of it. But when conservatives sit here and they say, with no evidence that it was justified, that makes leftists who think that ICE is evil going around killing people and conservatives don't care. It kind of gives them like a little bit more ammunition because conservatives are defending something that probably shouldn't be defended. We definitely don't have the information to defend it right now. So that's the way I feel about it.
Yeah, and it's something that it makes me like wonder, why do you think this radical leftists are so intense? Like, what's the real motivation? Because if I'm an illegal Mexican, Peruvian, I don't know, Somali, I don't know, you name it, and they doing a due process to arrest this person, and you're in the middle of this conflict, like a being, for example, just giving an example, like a white liberal woman, a white liberal man in the stand, and you, oh, I want to protect this and this and that. And then when you investigate a little bit further, you, oh, surprise, he's working with the government. What was about that? Like, what the hell?
Yeah, it's very troubling. I think a lot of the issue is information because the truth is that a lot of the reason that I'm wanting to make my videos is because everywhere I look, because I'm on the sort of leftist side of the internet too. I have other accounts that are like only like and follow leftist creators, so I see what leftists see. And it's very common that I
That's
see
really
blatant.
clever.
Yeah,
That's that gotcha moment, right?
that's how I have to get my content. But so it's very common that I see what the sort of the ecosystem that they exist in, and they've been fed so much misinformation that it is easy to really think that the world is coming down and that Republicans are evil or like a lot of these ideas. When people grow up in this modern era, it's sort of this commonplace idea that we're all just people in the human race and borders don't really matter. And intuitively, it kind of makes sense. It's like, oh, well, we're all just people, we're all the same. But unfortunately, as all educated people know, borders matter a lot for political stability. And as anyone who's lived in a country that is suffering understands, these things can go downhill really quickly. So you have to maintain the rule of law. So I think a lot of these leftists see false media. They see the Renee Good shooting, which was, in my opinion, fully legally justified. I went on a whole media tour about that. And
Indeed.
so they see things like this, and they're told this was a murder, this was a murder. And because no death looks pretty, a self defense death looks ugly and sad. Even if you watch someone who is trying to kill someone and then gets killed in self defense, you still feel sorrow for them because you're a human being. So then you see a shooting like Renee Good, which was legally justified, but in a sort of like, no one wanted it to happen way. Then it makes these people think, oh my goodness, something needs to be done. And it hurts them. So then they get out there and they protest and they don't really know what they're protesting for. But I can empathize with the people who want to make a difference. But It's just so sad that people have been deluded by false media this much.
Yeah, and it's something that it really bothers me because as a Dominican American, I can see not only one, I can see three different perspectives. The perspective about a guy that was born in the United States and know the constitutions are the laws, but also can see it through the broad. I can see it through Dominican Republic as well, and also I can see it through the third party vision, which is a Dominican that are not agreeing with ICE and an American that are not agreeing with ICE, and it all leads to common sense. So I don't understand why people are so effed up if we can like go and see and see all the things that are going on and just use common sense. I'm not even in this point defending ICE. Actually, I'm not defending ICE. I'm defending common sense. If a police officer just detain you and tell you, hey, um uh ID, what is the thing they always say when they stop you, stop me just twice, what is the thing
License
that,
and registration.
yeah, license and registration, please. You just, okay, you step away, you just say, okay, what do you need, sir? Okay, I'm free to go. No, okay, no problem, thank you, have a great day. That's it. Why you need to be so rude and disrespectful? I don't understand why you need to be so mad to the officials.
It's terrible, and it's all the media. The media shows people this reality that looks like 1984. It looks like the world is being taken over. And I was in DC 2 days ago. I was in Washington, D.C. at these anti-ICE protests, and I saw the National Guard walking around D.C. And people talk about the National Guard like the National Guard are out here just beating people up. But they were sitting out here like at a food truck eating, and I was talking to them, and they're just
Oh
normal
my god,
people
that's
like us.
crazy.
They're just normal people, and they're just out there who are trying to defend the country. And people only see one side of it. But I think the problem is like law enforcement is an inherently unpleasant thing to see. It's not pleasant to know that people have to be detained, but the truth is that like my favorite thing is when they talk about ISIS kidnapping people. It's like what ICE does is they detain people until they have the information to deport them. And then everyone talks about how these people were falsely detained. It's like, do you know what percentage of the population has been falsely detained? It's like a lot of people. It's very common to be taken in for questioning for a crime you didn't commit. I mean, like, how many times have you been pulled over for doing something you didn't do wrong? It's a very common thing. And so the problem is that everyone just wants to blow this up into some crazy firestorm when this is just the way that law enforcement operates always.
Pretty much. And I have a question for you, Jake Jackson. What are the sources that you use to have all this data? Because I know it's really exhausting. I mean, even though you're really young, I mean, sometimes I guess you invest 2 to 5 hours just to edit a video, or trying to search the real deal. What are your sources? Like, do you use like, I don't know, like what kind of different sources do you use to go and investigate all of that?
So it's a lot of different things, and my videos take about 5 hours, so you're about on the right margin. But so for me, a lot of what it is I spend a lot of time going through both right wing and left wing media. I like independent media a lot because independent media, it often is proven false, but if you can sort of have a careful eye on independent media, you can get a lot of information. So I'm fortunate enough that I have a lot of friends who are on the ground in like Minnesota right now. So I can actually call one of my friends who's at the Minnesota ICE protest and say what's happening and get the information.
Wow, that's crazy. So you have
And
on
so,
live proof.
yeah, I'll have some people
Damn.
who are there. So that helps a lot. But also, honestly, Twitter's a great place. Like I can say Cam Higby. Although I haven't met the guy in person yet, Cam Higby is a very good reporter if you want to know like just on video what's happening. And people will talk about how everyone's partisan. Like Cam Higby's a conservative, and other leftist reporters are leftist. But if something is on video, it's real. Like you can watch. Generally, if it's on video from a mainstream account, they're not going to be posting AI. So what I do is I just watch the videos of the protests, see what's happening, go frame by frame, go real slow. And then as far as like the timeline of events, I just go to mainstream media because I know that they're held accountable if they lie. So that's how I do it generally.
No, that's an incredible job, and I can say that how you edit the videos and everything, it gives like a you're spicy a little bit more with the commentary. Sometimes it's really long, like 3 or 5 minutes, but sometimes it's just like a minute and a half or 30 seconds that you just debunk it right there. So that's really good. I have. So now I'm gonna move a little bit forward with the spicy questions. That's why I'm laughing a little bit. Um, you know, my journey to this, because I was always a conservative, but I never see myself as a right winger. I am a right winger, but I didn't know it. I just follow up some instructions, read. I just take a bath. No basic economy, this kind of stuff, and then boom, I'm from the right, extremely right. I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. But to me, I was always invested to do a video and talk about the Dean Witter situation. I want to present myself and say, hey, you're saying BS. That's not true because I live it. I literally have the information. I have people that work on those fields and areas. So then I saw your content, and I want you to ask you, like, from the tip of the iceberg, what it's Dean like to you actually. What is your opinion on Dean Wieters?
So it's actually really funny because initially I actually felt somewhat positive about the guy. So I've met Dean in person. A lot of people don't know this, but I met him at Amfest and I talked to him for a while in Arizona. And back then, I actually used to like Dean because Dean, when Charlie Kirk died and everyone was celebrating and dancing, Dean Withers cried on camera. People don't know this because he was live while it
Mhm.
happened. And although afterwards he kind of backtracked and he kind of said like I was crying because it was hard to watch. It's like no, you were crying because the guy died and he should have died. But it's like okay, and I told him I respected you for doing that. Is what I told him in person. But then like what happened for me is I have a lot of respect for anyone who cares about what's true. Is the way I see it. So when I see someone who's a leftist but they think that they're right, I really like that. So when I see a leftist who does a lot of research and really cares about what's true and they think that they're in the right and they're trying
Yeah.
hard, that actually means more to me than like a conservative who just doesn't care at all. Because it's like, yeah, sure, you're on the right side of things, but you didn't get there rightfully. You kind of fell in the right like box. But so I kind of originally thought that Dean was like that. But then things changed for me during the Renee Good shooting, especially. Because
Hmm.
initially I disagreed with Dean, but I thought he was an okay guy. But when I saw him like lie, and if, for people who haven't seen my videos, the one thing that made me like kind of lose my mind is that he posted. So Renee Good, if people watching in the future, a woman was driving her car, an ICE agent was moved in front of the vehicle after she was stopped, and then she accelerated. And either some people say he hit her, or some people say she hit him. Some people say she didn't. I basically proved that she did hit him, and I've debated a lot of people about this. So just trust me, I've gone through the footage. And so Dean showed a photo of the second shot, wherein the guy's off to the side of the car, like this, instead of being in front of it like this, and he showed
Hmm.
this instead it was the first shot, which would, if that was the case, it would be totally not self-defense.
Pretty much.
And so he basically just lied at that photo, and no one pointed it out but me. I was like, oh my, this isn't true. And so I was like, that's where it changed my mind. I was like, this guy is lying right now. And I was actually with my girlfriend at the time. I was talking to her. I was like, this is crazy. Cause
Mm.
I made videos all the time, but I never like, I don't know. I'm kind of an emotionless person. So it's like, okay, I think this is right. I'm gonna present it and then go to bed. But I was like, I'm like pissed off right now. Like he's lying. He knows he's lying right now because he had to go through the footage and pick the second shot out. So yeah, I think he's a liar.
So to your perspective, to you, Dean Wieters will be, or he is a liar. And let me tell you something to collaborate with that. When I saw the videos, I see that he has a lot in common with Destiny. What do you think about Destiny, though?
See, Destiny's actually on the other end for me. I actually kind of like Destiny. So
Damn.
Destiny,
Okay.
I disagree with Destiny a lot, in the way that he believes and in the way that he says stuff. But one thing that I do care about Destiny is I think that Destiny is a true believer. Like I don't know
Okay.
if Dean believes what he says. I don't know that. I know that Destiny believes what he says. And there's something special about that. Even though he's wrong, even though he's hurtful to people in a lot of ways, like what Destiny says is what Destiny thinks. And I can't say the same for Dean. So that's why I care more about Destiny. Because as someone who likes politics, I see Destiny as like a. I think he really truly believes that he is doing the right thing, and I respect that at a level.
Huh. So that's really interesting because I was thinking, it gave me like I was having this idea that you maybe think that Destiny it's doing like wrong commentary, but then you told me like Dean it's a little bit more. um, um, a little bit more cuckoo than Destiny, because Destiny has he believes in his ideas. And Dean Witter, and it's really funny that you told me that, because I saw on TikTok, allegations of him taking money 3 or 4 years before, trying to like mislead information, because he before, like, really, really in the, initially in his career, supposedly, allegedly, he was actually a right winner. A lot of people say that. They take a lot of proof from that. So that's really interesting that you telling me that, because there's a lot of fake shows, a lot of fakies that trying to like mesmerize and take one side, when in reality they don't believe in anything, and that they just want their money. It's
See,
pretty
that's the
interesting.
thing with Dean Withers. You can find videos of Dean Withers, like literally. I mean, what, like 6 years ago, where he's wearing like he's in a car and he's like, "I'm a multimillionaire. If you want to be a millionaire, here's how to do it too." Like a total like fraud, right?
Yeah.
But Destiny, you can find videos of Destiny from like 8 years ago, and he's saying the same thing. So you know what? Like, as much as I disagree with Destiny, Steven, he really believes what he's saying, and that's I respect that way more than someone who I think is just saying what he wants, what people want to hear.
So I want to ask you to your perspective, to another content creator. This is going to be a little bit headed up, so I'm going to just hit the level here. So what do you think about Nick Fuentes, though? What is your take on Nick Fuentes?
Nick Fuentes is an interesting guy. I think at the end of the day, someone like him, Nick was pushed so far out of the mainstream for so long by people who wanted him to not be able to say a word. I think that's very wrong. I think that people, even people who I think are really bad for the social industry, like people like Dean, who I think lie all the time and stuff like this, like I think Dean needs to be able to say what he wants to say because that's important and that's American. Dean being able to lie is American. Like I think he should be allowed to. That's important. The thing is that Nick, they tried to push Nick off into like the shadow realm, you know? They banned him from every platform. They let him never say what he wanted to say. I think that's wrong. So at that level, I can say I definitely don't agree with the people who've been trying to suppress him for years and years. Nick's an interesting guy because whenever you're on these alternative platforms forever, you'll say a lot of things and people don't really know what you believe because what Nick says on a news show is all the people will ever see. So I've seen some clips of Nick where I really strongly disagree with what he's saying. But then, like everyone else, I've seen some clips where I really strongly do agree with what he's saying. So I think the best thing to do is just let him say what he believes, and then as we get more and more, we'll see what we think about him.
That's pretty interesting. Yeah, you have this perspective of Nick, because he's really polarizing, has a lot of things to say, and it's pretty interesting. But I think it's an extreme, which is a really interesting topic that I want to ask you as a conservative. Um, what are your personal experiences in the conservative world? Because, right, you go to, maybe, and myself included, I go to all these meetings and know these people and yada yada, but then you discover that they have different views. Are those views, like, you think that they collide, they're really strong, or they actually can be whole together? You think they have a common ground? What are your perspectives on the right? Do you think they are dividing right now? What are your thoughts about that?
In a lot of ways, the right is divided. I think that's a fact. I mean, you look at these sort of two camps that what they call like neoconservatives or more traditional conservatives. And the neoconservatives are the more Reagan types, where they want like this kind of hawkish foreign policy. They want the interventionism. They want the Middle Eastern conflict kind of stuff. But then there's more of the traditional conservatives. I'm more of a traditional conservative myself. So I'm what you call maybe like a paleocon, is what some people have called me. I don't know if I perfectly take on that mantra, but
Hmm.
I think that as a more traditional conservative, I felt ignored by many of the mainstream conservative spaces. I can say that because a lot of people, it's like they're conservative up to a point. It's like they don't like illegal immigration, but they want, they don't care if we had 300 million, legal immigrants tomorrow, which would make America half legal immigrant. So at the end of the day, these things matter to me. America's texture matters to me. America's culture matters to me. And these are some ways where maybe someone controversial like Nick and I have some things in common, although a lot of his rhetoric I disagree with. But I think it's important that America is American, and I think that we need to maintain that. So that's where a lot of the moderate people on the right have sort of lost a lot of the youth because the youth have grown up in a different culture. the youth have grown up in a society which said like, well, being American is being hardworking. It's like no, in some ways, being an American is like your grandparents fought in like World War II. It's like you drive an American car, you love the American flag, like American identity. You're not an American if you don't call yourself an American in some way. That's what I believe.
Well, that's an amazing take, though. You said it. I can't even say it that perfectly. That was really good take. But to me, and seeing all that is going on in the United States, I'm a little bit worried, and I'm gonna tell you why. Uh, but before that question, though, I confused myself a little bit. I'm sorry for that. What was the term that you said that you were like was like pre what? Like it wasn't that you were saying
I've
before
been labeled a paleoconservative.
a
Maybe that's the
paleo.
term.
What is
Yeah,
that? I do know to my followers because that's
yeah.
really specific. I don't know anything about a paleoconservative. What is that?
So paleoconservative, I believe, was popularized by Patrick Buchanan, who's a guy who's very controversial. He's said some stuff that I don't agree with, but generally, Patrick Buchanan was sort of like the old school conservative. They like tariffs a lot. They like really strong borders, and they don't like a bunch of legal immigrants. They like some legal immigrants, like the best and the brightest, but they don't want like millions and millions. They think it has to be done in a certain way. Versus neoconservatives that are far more just like free market with the world, intervene. We want tradition, but tradition is a little less important. Paleoconservatives really care about social conservatism, like Christian values, stuff like that. I've been labeled a paleoconservative.
Interesting, interesting. And what do you think about like Christianity? Because you're a fellow Christian. How's been your perspective? For example, what happened in Minneapolis, where the craziest guy is going to this church and doing all these things? You as a Christian, how you see that? How you feel about that?
See, when I saw Don Lemon go into that church with his little
Perfect
mob of
name, though. I'm sorry to
yeah,
interrupt you.
yeah,
Perfect
Don
name.
Lemon,
Definitely.
exactly. When I saw Don Lemon go into that church with his mob of goons, I was infuriated. It is absolutely repulsive. And the truth is that if you're going to live that way in America, America is not a country that is welcoming to people who are hostile to Christians. America is a Christian country, and yeah, we have freedom of religion, but we are a Christian country. So if you want to go into this Christian country that's been Christian for, 300 years and go into this historic church and harass people for practicing, you need to be exiled from your job, from your community. Don Lemon needs to know that he is not welcome in the journalism space for attempting to invade a sacred house of God and use it for some BS political stunt so his mob of goons can be egged on. Going because there's apparently an ICE agent in the church. I mean, just a total shithead. It's absolutely repulsive to me in a uniquely angering way because it's like these people are so emboldened to think that their political cause is more important than these people's soul's devotion. We could all be invaded by China tomorrow, and going to church is going to be the most important thing we do because that protects our afterlife. That protects our souls. The thing that can never be destroyed by warfare, by conquest. And Don Lemon got in the way of that, all for some publicity stunt. And I think that he needs to suffer the consequences.
Chasing the cloud, right?
Absolutely.
Damn, that's yeah, and I saw that also. There was like a black female too doing this thing, and she was arrested. I think I don't know if only was him and the women. Did you know something about that?
So from what I saw is that it was a group going into the church, right? And it was separately organized, and Don Lemon was reporting with them. But Don Lemon was very clearly encouraging. He knew about it ahead of time. And I've seen some videos. The funniest part is I've seen some videos saying that Don Lemon violated the KKK Act, which was made so people couldn't use churches to harass people. And
Really
so it's so
ironic, right?
funny.
KKK
Yeah.
act, and then a black woman, and then they went for a freedom of speech, but inside
Yeah.
in a private place. So the contradiction, it's
It's
exquisite.
crazy. Well, it's an
It's
African American
horrible.
man violated the KKK Act on Martin Luther King Day. It's like so, it's just
Amazing,
crazy.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
it is
poetic
crazy.
irony.
It is. So Jackson, I have other questions for you. Do you think what is your take on Carson? Is his name is Carson? It's his interview, his famous interview. Carson, what is his name? Carson something. They funnily put a surname calling him Carson, Tucker Carson. What do you
Oh,
think
Tucker
about him?
Carlson. Okay, Tucker
Carson,
Carlson.
Carson. Yeah, yeah, yeah. My accent a
Yeah.
little bit strong.
Oh, I
What do you
get
think
you.
about it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Tucker
yeah,
Carlson. I love Tucker Carlson. I think he seems like a great guy. Tucker Carlson is actually a fellow paleoconservative, from what I understand. So Tucker Carlson seems to be I haven't met the guy, but I think he's a good guy. I think he's done his part to just interview who he wants to interview. Everyone got mad about that. I actually got a lot of hate about this initially because it's like the truth is, it's like, okay, everyone's free speech until Tucker Carlson interviews Nick Fuentes. And it's like, actually, it's Tucker Carlson's show. He can interview whoever he wants to. It's just so psycho to say who Tucker can and cannot interview on the Tucker Carlson show. It's crazy. It's like if someone was messaging you, Kenneth, and they're like, you can't interview that guy on your own show. It's like, who are you? Get out of here.
Excuse
So,
me.
yeah, exactly. So, no, Tucker has weathered a bunch of BS from people. And the truth is that Tucker seems to really care about what's true. When he was on Fox, he was speaking the truth, and now he's speaking the truth on the Tucker Carlson show. So I can say, listen, I like Tucker. I think Tucker's doing the right thing.
Incredible, and I really respect that perspective because at the end, Carlson, it's not only a public figure, but it's a public figure that is just doing his job. And I think that he has a lot of intakes. Some one of those intakes I'm agreeing with, some one of those I'm disagreeing, but it's okay, because at the end, all people have their own opinions, and you're right, it's his show at the end, so he can do whatever he wants in that sense. So, I want to ask you, you're on college, right? Do you seeing all this propaganda, leftist propaganda still going on colleges, campuses?
I can say you definitely see a little bit. Clemson is a very good school. So Clemson is a school that does not allow for um, it doesn't let people just get brainwashed at Clemson. We have good professors. Yeah, sure, there's leftist professors, but they're not like evil who are trying to brainwash their students in the way that a lot of these people are. So I'm in the good end of it, because our professors aren't going to sit up here and try and make us think what we think. I mean, one of my professors, he won't even tell you what he believes ever, 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 because he wants you to not know. And it's
Hmm.
like,
Pretty
that's
interesting.
what makes a good professor, and that's what Clemson has to offer for a lot of students. So I love it here, but I can say, like, I go to college tours, I go to other campuses all the time, and we are still seeing a lot of this propaganda. And it's unfortunate that it's going so far and it's being spread so just readily throughout the media. But yeah, I think being in college and being a conservative is hard because everyone, just about everyone, disagrees with you. But you have to understand that if you really believe what you believe for a reason, and you really follow the media and you follow the news and you have philosophy, you understand why you believe what you believe, then who you're around shouldn't change that. I could be the only conservative in America and I'd still be a conservative, so it doesn't matter to me.
It is amazing. That's a really good conviction. But something else that I want to like, just like trying to I got a general idea. So you have all this political and all these ideas and all this actually facts that you investigate, but sometimes you will meet people that maybe you will harsh with those kind of ideas because you are putting the facts versus their delusion. So I want you to ask, what do you think about Candace Owens?
Candace Owens seems to be losing her mind.
You say,
Uh, it's brutal. Well, Candace Owens actually, and see, it's really sad for me because Candace Owens, like forever, she was a really like smart,
so
well-spoken woman,
professional. Yeah.
professional, intelligent, and honestly, like I don't know. I mean, maybe she knows something I don't. Okay, maybe she knows the secrets I don't. But I don't think Charlie Kirk was a time traveler. I'm just gonna say it. Like it's like if you're saying that Charlie Kirk was a time traveler in public, there's something wrong here. There's something going on. So yeah,
It,
Candace Owens seems to be in the wrong. She seems to not really know what's going on, but I don't hate her. I think she's actually seems like a pretty fun person. I think Candace Owens would be fun to hang out with. She seems pretty funny.
Yeah, she seems great. Like she seems really sarcastic, funny, and by she portrays by all means like their own text messages and conversations that she has before. Unfortunately, the pass out of Charlie Kirk. She seems like a funny person, like a really outgoing person. So
I
it's
know.
it's interesting that she flipped the switch all of a sudden, right?
Yeah, it's hard because it's like it's a woman who clearly cared so much about her friend. And she cared
Yeah.
so much about her friend, and then her friend died tragically in front of her, on the media. Of course, she wasn't there. And so, like, I find it like initially, I wouldn't criticize at all what she was doing because I'm like, she's going through it. Now we're getting to the point where it's like, Candace, it's been a couple months, man. It's been like,
Yeah,
Candace, it's been
it's
almost half a year. We gotta get it going, But
yeah.
I don't know, I don't, I actually like her. I think like as a person, she's kind of a good person.
Her personality, it's stunning. I
Yeah.
must say, right? So, asking for the other political figures, I want to ask you, what do you think about Fisherback? Fishback, I think his name. Fisherback. Fishback.
Fishback, yeah, I
Yeah.
think I don't know. I think some mixed feelings about Fishback because on paper a lot of what he says appeals to me because he's speaking to the Gen Z youth who feel like they've been kind of tread on. They've had their American dream sold away by these conservatives who don't really care about conserving anything. So in those ways, I like him, but his story is interesting. The way that he changed his
Hmm.
beliefs so quickly, the way that he's developed so quickly, and that's right for concern. But from what I understand, I have a lot of friends in Florida who agree with me on a lot of things, and they really like the guy. So speaking for them, I think that considering we agree on a lot of stuff, and they're in Florida and they like him, I bet if I was in Florida, I'd be a big fan. Or I bet if I was in Florida, I'd be a big fan of Fishback.
I have a question, and gonna be one of the last questions from asking from people, and I'm gonna be like more now concentrated on your story because that's how I roll actually. What do you think about Valentina Cortez or Valentina? Sorry, then her name it's something about. Let me
AOC.
scroll it. Yeah, yeah. What do you think about her? What
I
is
have a
your
lot of
opinion?
disagreements with AOC. I think generally AOC is very opposed to me policy wise. She's a progressive, I'm very much not a progressive. I'm very conservative. I can say I like that AOC seems to not be bought out. She seems to be saying what she thinks is true. That's rare. That's special. I don't think AOC is any from what I know, AOC her trading is funny. Her insider trading is really interesting. So listen, all I can say is AOC seems to not be getting her money from lobbyists. Instead, she seems to be getting it from some information that she shouldn't know. But you know what? In a way, I'd almost prefer my politicians to get their money from trading that they shouldn't be doing
Pretty much.
than from getting paid by somebody else. So it's like, who do you want? How corrupt do you want your politicians? Do you want them using their information to get money, or getting money for giving information? I'd rather it be the first one. So in that way, I actually don't mind the insider trading as much as most people, although it's still wrong, obviously. But AOC seems to be saying what she believes. I don't believe what she believes. So as a person, I don't mind her, but I think that her ideas are totally repugnant. I think her ideas are terrible.
She reminds me of a character from The Boys. I don't want to say the character. You guess it. You're a really intelligent person, but she reminds me a lot of a character of The Boys, right? Okay. So moving on, right? So I want to ask you more a profound question. What are your like? What is your end goal with all the content that you are creating right now? Because speeding up, you actually are like really growing on fast in social media, especially on Instagram. Because when I saw you, I see, this guy kind of have like he has potential. He kind of grow exponentially in one of those media. Let me ask him. Before he gets really famous, what is your end goal in this? Do you want to create like or do you already because you tell me you are part of different groups, but what are your final goal with all this?
So I have a lot of goals. I don't know. I mean, when I think about why I do it for a lot of reasons, but I think it's like I'm a Christian, I'm a Catholic specifically, and I want other Christians to have someone they can look to who can give them like real, honest information about what a normal Christian who looks at all the information should think. I think too many political influencers are bought out. Too many of them are in other people's pockets. They all agree with one singular motive and they all move in concert. I'm not quite that way. I disagree with the Republicans openly in many ways. And actually, with the Alex Preddy stuff, I've gotten many of complaints on the way that I responded to it because I said it seems like it was over force. It seems like it was excessive force. And a lot of conservatives, that goes against the narrative. But the truth is, I don't care about the narrative. I care about truth. And so, what I want more than anything is that I want to cultivate an audience of young people who know what's true, care about what's true, and are seeking truth more than seeking like pleasure, seeking culture, seeking acceptance. So more than anything, I want to make my audience just smarter.
It's okay. This is on
People are
live.
screaming in my hall.
That's good. That you're like I guess you're like in a doorway or
Yeah,
something. That's all right.
I'm in a dorm. I think our football team just scored.
Oh, that's good, man. Congrats. What
Maybe.
is your that's amazing. I mean, I'm you're gonna see I'm a really outgoing guy. I really mind. I can
Yeah,
use this
yeah.
as a clip. What do you think? What is the uh who won? Like who were like the team players?
Oh, Clemson? I don't know, man. We're struggling. I don't watch the football today.
You know,
I
I'm
don't know
just
what's up. I
as you
wish I
see,
was
I'm just
more into
vibing.
sports.
But
Okay, okay, done.
anyways,
Yes, I want
as
to
you
make my
see,
audience smarter. I want to
you're
make
fine.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
I want my audience to be smarter more than anything. I want my audience to know more. I want them to be more clever. I don't want them to get tricked with all the media, both on the right and the left. People want to trick you. The truth is that the answers are not out there always, so I want to put them out there for people. That's kind of my goal. And more than that, I have interest in making documentaries. I have interest in making
Oh, that's
YouTube videos.
amazing.
I have a YouTube channel, Jackson Heab, that is just now getting off the ground. And so I want to be a voice that pushes people in the right direction and builds a community of conservatives who don't buy the BS.
I mean, yeah, that's good. That's good. That's a really good perspective. And also, I'm gonna put all your socials in the interview because it's really interesting to openly, question someone, and they have their own views and how they perceive reality as a conservative, which is great. I agree. Majority of the things that you're saying, personally, I agree with. Um, what I'm really surprised is your young age that you like took this decision. If there was like a canon event, like you can say specifically, you say like, I'm tired of the BS. Can you like, you have a personal story that you say, nah, I'm not buying the Kool-Aid anymore.
Yeah, I guess I do. I have a couple. I guess when I look at moments that made me want to get more into politics, I was a conservative. I guess if I want to go back to like being in middle school, I was leftist for a long time. So I wasn't conservative growing up. And I sort of had this worldview that everyone was, like living in this leftist progressive future. And, like family values, these things were, whatever. They didn't really matter too much. And then I went into public high school. And I realized, like, oh, wait, these things matter a lot. A lot of people are very dejected. People living lives that are hedonistic and gross and not good. And from there, that's where I started to find God myself. And I became a Christian around the age of like 17, actually, not very recent, or actually no, very recent. And so for me, slowly realizing that this leftist worldview that I had been sold my whole life as a kid by the media wasn't the real world. That was a big moment for me. But then more so with me getting public about politics. When I was in college, one of my first things I wanted to do was make a political impact. So I wanted to be an engineer initially, and I was going to go to University of Utah for mining engineering. So I was just going to do that, live my life and do what I wanted to do. But I've always been obsessed with politics. So like my whole life, I was the guy who I would call my friends every night to debate politics because it was so interesting to me.
Damn.
So
So naturally.
yeah, it's an obsession for me because everything else is so boring to me. It's like everything else, there's one right answer. It's very easy to find out. But politics, you can think about politics your whole life and still think and learn more and more and more. It's the most complex puzzle that was ever designed, like ever devised, which is, how to deconstruct other ideas and how to run a country. It's really complicated. And so to me, it's very interesting. But so when I went to college, I got involved in my college Republicans. And I started doing speeches and giving these, talks because I'm a traditional conservative. I'm a little bit more right wing than most conservatives are. So I had an interesting voice. And what happened, fortunately, like our founder, or our head chair of the college Republicans, our president, gave me a lot of help, gave me the opportunities to be a sort of a bigger player in the space, even at my young age. And so from there, I was writing a speech about Irina Zaryuska, who was the Ukrainian woman in North
Yeah.
Carolina.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Oh, she was. Oh my God, yeah. Because in North Carolina, it
yeah.
happens in North Carolina, right?
And so the day after it happened, yeah. And so the day after it happened, I was writing a speech about it to give. And it was a speech about, like how it happened and what's wrong and what this signifies. And so as I was writing the speech, I was like calling my mom and I was talking about how like it just makes me so angry and I was ranting to her. And then I get a text on my phone that says Charlie Kirk was just shot. And so from there, I get this text. I have on my mom. I watch the footage, and it was very much like it was obviously it was almost like traumatic for me in a weird way, because like you're sitting here in your daily life, and someone who Charlie Kirk was to the left of me. I was a little bit more conservative than he was, and so I saw someone like this die, and it was very concerning, obviously initially, and we all went out to the vigil. There was a memorial that night held. It was all impromptu and afterward, and I was very sad. It was more emotional. I'm not a very emotional person, but I can say I had tears. I was very emotionally affected by it. And so from there, I went on, and the next day we were all like, "What are we gonna do as college Republicans?" And I was like, "We need to go tabling." Which is, we go out with our table and we have like stuff to sign up for the Republican organization because I thought a bunch of people are going to see this and they're going to think, I know what side I'm not on, and it's the side that just killed that guy. So I'm going to go with the Republicans.
Pretty
And
much.
so we needed to be out there to talk to people. And this is where like my sort of worldview was kind of shattered, I guess. Because I went out there thinking that what I would see was a bunch of people who were, all together mourning this death. It's not what I saw. In fact, I saw people celebrating. And this is where I first went viral
Hmm.
on social media, is a student handed me a piece of paper. I actually have it framed on my wall. But it said, I curse on here?
Yeah, yeah, no problem.
It said, fuck yo homie, he dead. Rest in piss, Charlie Kirk. And so I pulled out my camera and I recorded her and I said, "Why'd you hand me this?" And I followed her and eventually she turned around and answered and she said, "Because he was evil and he deserved to die." And so I posted on social media. I went viral for it and started doing a media tour. And this is where like my Twitter first went viral. My Twitter is a lot older than my Instagram. And so for me, I sort of realized like we are in a new era. It's no longer what I was whenever I was younger because I was once a leftist where, we all disagree, but we're all gonna,
Hmm.
we all care about the truth. It was a very different thing. It was a you deserve to die culture. It's a lot different.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm a Christian though, so death doesn't really matter to me the same way it does to other people. I not to be like too, like a neurotic, but for me, at least as a Christian, it's like death's not the end. So I'm not as afraid of death as most people are. So I thought, okay, well, I've experienced this. Now it's time to get involved before the world goes to shit. Gotta go out there and try and make my impact. So that's where for me, I decided that I would be public about politics and try and make my voice heard.
Yeah, that's really noble. And you know what? All this going on with Nigeria and all the killings with the Christians and things that it's not even a rhetoric. It's like you see the perspective. And there's gonna be the next question though, like the perspective of other religions, because this is the reality. All the extremists doesn't matter the religion, they are effed up. It is what it is. And people will say, "Oh no, the Zion, oh no, the Jewish, oh no, the Islamic Republic, yeah, yeah, whatever." But this is the reality. You are portraying an agenda, putting an agenda, and then another agenda, like tapping up another. It's like I'm gonna talk about this, but you can't talk about this. But then you can talk about this, but you shouldn't talk about this. Who are the one that decides who what you want to talk or not, right? And I know it can seem a common denominator, but in reality, you just worry because you're as a fellow Christian. You say, "Hey, people are not speaking up, and I'm feeling like I'm alone." That's crazy, right?
Absolutely. It's a hard thing to see. It's hard to see other Christians that sat here and they said like other Christians talked about, well, maybe, it is not we shouldn't talk about it. And I feel this is where because I'm a Catholic, so I'm a little more traditional than most of these people. But if you're a man and you're a Christian man, it is your job to provide for your Christian community. So if you're a Christian man who sees other Christian men being murdered in other countries, you see religions like Islam taking over your country, or at least attempting to, and you're just cool with it. You're not a man, you are a weakling. you are a disgrace to your people. So, in my opinion, it's important that if you actually care about what's right, you need to say something before it's too late.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I want to ask you. Like, and this is really controversial. So if you want to skip the question, it's all right. Because it's the same question that I'm always gonna ask you. Like, what is your stand as a Christian, the Israel Palestine conflict, though?
So it's tricky. I guess the hard part about Israel Palestine is I don't know if I trust any media on either side. Because on one side you have the sort of Israeli media outlets, and on the other side you have Al Jazeera. And from what I understand, these are really the
Yeah.
only two main players. I definitely don't trust Al Jazeera because Al Jazeera is a Middle Eastern backed media company. So they have incentive to lie. And obviously, I don't trust the Israeli outlets because they have the ultimate incentive to lie. So I don't fully know what's happening over there. It's hard to really know. But what I do know is I think it's gone too far. I think that initially Israel had a great cause to strike back. And I actually really respect the Jewish people's struggles because if you're a Jewish person in Israel, you have this population next to you. And if you look at the Hamas support polls, people talk about Hamas and Palestine being different entities, and they're actually
Hmm.
very close because Hamas was elected fairly initially. People argue the elections aren't fair anymore, but it was initially elected fairly to being the government of Palestine. And there are polls that show that Hamas has an 80% approval rate.
Real quick here, you were saying really good stuff. It was like basically explaining about like the Israel and Palestine conflict, but also like in the perspective of the media trust, which is the same thing that happens to me when I was in my journey of being a conservative. Uh, Basically.
Yeah, so when it comes to the Israel Palestine conflict, for me, the biggest issue is media information. Because on one side, you have sources like Al Jazeera, which is the most prominent Palestinian information news network, I guess, showing the Middle Eastern side of the conflict. And then, of course, you have the Israeli news outlets, which are giving that information. So these two news outlets, I don't trust either of them really, because they have such a bias in terms of the information that they portray. So it's really hard to know what's actually happening in Israel and Palestine. And yeah, sure, we have an idea, and what we have an idea of, I have a lot of issues with conceptually. So I guess initially starting the conflict, I definitely think that Israel had a good reason to retaliate. October 7th is a great tragedy, one of the greatest tragedies in Jewish history. And so, of course, they had to react. And I can empathize with the Jewish people's struggles because, I mean, literally in Hamas, or in Palestine, Hamas, which is the elected government of Palestine, has a very high approval rate, higher than Donald Trump. So the thing is that when you
Damn.
understand that an organization that has the motto of, I think it's is like part of their motto,
Yeah.
then it's obviously dangerous when someone on your border has that motto. It's like if the Mexicans changed their national anthem to like a, we'd probably be concerned. So in that way, I can empathize with the Jewish people's struggles, and it's important that they keep themselves safe from people who want them dead. But I think that they've gone too far in a lot of ways. I mean, this war has gone on for a very long time, and I find it hard to believe that Hamas is still prevalent in Gaza. I mean, think about it. Gaza is an incredibly small country. I mean, it's very small, and they've combed through it time after time again. It's like if Hamas is still there, then this is one of the worst waged wars in history. It's like I think that their forces have to be so low. So then it brings up the question of what are we doing now? Like, what's the reason that we're still going back in and back in and back in? And while I'm not here to say what the answer is, I don't like most of the proposed answers. So I just think at the end of the day, I think the war's gone on for too long. And I don't hate the Jewish peoples of Israel. I don't hate the peoples of Palestine. I actually love them both and I respect both of their cultures. But I think that some sort of ceasefire, some sort of conclusion needs to be drawn. This war cannot be allowed to wage forever where people just die and die and die in such a sad and primitive fashion. I mean, so many souls gone all for, I mean, how much land is Palestine? It's not very much. If you
Yeah.
talk about deaths per, square meter of land, this may be some of the most in history. So I just think it needs to come to an end, and whatever it takes to do that needs to be done. But yeah, I think that there's big issues on both sides, and I'm definitely not a believer in us continuing to fund the war indefinitely. I think that we should be funding things that help America directly.
That's an amazing take view, because there's a lot of people that wanna they go with this topic, and specifically the Israel Palestine topic. They go too far. Doesn't matter like the rhetoric or like the sides. And you brought out a really interesting topic, which is, where can I find the information? Because if I'm trying to see information, and the information it's rich and actually just has an agenda, I will not be able to read it and comprehend it as a whole. So that's pretty interesting intake. I will say, and this is gonna be my last question: do you know anything about Dominican Republic?
I don't really, to be honest.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I'm gonna be here to guide you a little bit about Dominican Republic. So Dominican Republic is a half island. It seems that it's in Central America, near from Cuba and Puerto Rico. And this country has a lot of rich history. One of the things that is going on is, if you know, because you maybe heard about this country, it's Haiti. We have the same problems with the politicians in our country, with the rig rhetoric about the Haiti and Dominican Republic is the same. We have really different stories, but people assume that is the same. And this is not even racism, this is reality. um, we are one of the countries with more African heritage. That's for sure. Basically 45% of our people has black on it, which is amazing. But this is the thing. We have Amnistía Internacional, which is amnesty in the UN, trying to impose their rhetoric in this country. And we have a young fella like you that are explaining all the problems that's going on in the United States, specifically now with the Minneapolis situation and all the things, et cetera, et cetera. We have the same thing going on in the Dominican Republic, but with Haitians and illegality and rhetoric from the left also. And this is incredible, because as Dominican Republic, I can say that we never have been upheld by the right, because this is the reality. Dominican Republic is a country that has left center views, but we have been so head up and so f up with all the propaganda that there's a lot of people turning on into the right. So I'm in my position. I'm one of the guys that I'm doing the cultural war. So I want to show you something. Hold here. You're gonna laugh a lot about this. This is the thing. There's international agendas that want to propose that Dominican Republic looks the same, and we are a mixture. I wanna don't wanna add up and keep going with the history, but Dominican Republic and Haiti history. It's I'm not gonna go in details, but basically they talk Spanish. Mostly have African heritage. Mostly have different three different ethnicities, which is European, Taino, and Black. Everyone just mixed up. In our history, it's we fought independence 6 times, 16 times in a row, which is different than Haiti, because Haiti it was the first black independent nation in 1804, which is great and excellent. But then they paid an international debt, which hold to all the problems that they have now with the French colonizers and the history that they got. So to do the counterculture of the misinformation, I want to show you this. This is going to be really funny. Wait, you're going to see it. I made this T-shirt. It's going to be crazy and everything, which says, "I know black. I'm Dominican." And I got another one, which is,
I think I've
know
heard
why.
that before.
Yeah, I know why. I'm the creator of that. And let me give you the context. There's a comedian called Godfrey, which he was saying, "I know black, I know black, I know black," like impossible, like a joke, because he says that all Dominicans looks like him. In which I respond, "So I am black as you, right?" And then it go all this controversy and all this, political kind of
Yeah.
theory, because I just outsmart his game, and I said, "I know black. I'm not white. I'm not yellow. I'm Dominican. We don't define as a color or as a political view. We're just all Dominicans."
Yeah,
And
it's a culture, it's a heritage, it's a people's, yeah. Like people
ex-
who live in a country, like, oh my gosh. People have lost it so much, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's surprising because I really love this comedian, Godfrey. You can search for him. He's a really good comedian, and the reason because I'm being really passionate about this topic is because it's the same thing going on in the Dominican Republic. Is the same thing going on in the states. You want to be, if you have your own town family, which seems a certain ethnicity, but not also ethnicity, their belief system and their story, they want to be live there alone because
It's a
they're doing their
people.
own stuff.
It's a
Exactly.
people. And that's
It's
the
the
thing
people.
is people talk about what is an American. It happens all the time. It's like whenever I grew up, I was told an American was someone who signed their name on a piece of paper.
Yep.
Now you've signed it on, now you're an American. But the truth is, there's more than that. It's an identity, it's a culture, it's something else. And the question is, it's like, okay, you can call being an American whatever you want. But if the majority of people who reside in this country and who are called Americans by most people no longer become what an American was identified as 40 years ago, then what happens to the real Americans? Where's their
Pretty much.
country? They lose their nation. They no longer have a country. It's like I think it's a diaspora people is like the term for it. It's a tragedy.
Diaspora.
Yeah, diaspora people.
Yeah.
And I don't seek to lose my homeland. I don't think anyone should. And I think that it's important that America's tricky because America is a multicultural land. But
Mhm.
there is the center. And the center of this American identity needs to be preserved, definitely. And I respect the Dominicans people to keep their same center.
Yeah, it's the same thing. And let me brought up a different view of definition because multiculturalism is not the same thing of multi-ethnicism. It's really different. People want to impose their culture in other countries, and that's when the problem starts. Because if you're in America, you need to go uphold by American values, by the family, and people won't really care. The racist expression that use a lot of liberals is, I also have a black friend. No, but really, I have a black friend. I have a Hispanic. I have a white guy. I have whatever. We don't mind because we are all in the same, in the same mindset that Christian, Jewish, even Muslims, I don't give a damn. It's more like they know the best of their country. They want the best of their country. And people do not understand that from the political left-winning view. I don't understand why it's so difficult. I literally put in this. This is to me. This is really sarcasm and everything because I know black, I know white, I'm Dominican, and
Exactly.
people
It's a
get
unique
mad
thing.
with
Yeah.
me. They really get mad because I'm not including in a superiority thing. I'm literally saying, hey, I'm
Exactly.
not white either. Like literally, I'm not white
It's a
either. I
different group.
literally,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a
like
different
skin
ethnicity.
is this exactly because
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
skin tone matter, you can say, oh, this guy is light skin or Middle Eastern or whatever. But in reality, I have blue eyes, uh, uh, blonde hair cousins. I have black cousins. I have because we are a mixture. Like literally, this country is a mixture. It's like Brazil. You can't say like, oh my god, so I don't understand how people can perceive Brazil as a mixed country, but not Dominican Republic, and that's why I'm so passionate about this and so passionate to bring you to you because now you will know a fellow Dominican if you go to Dominican
Exactly.
Republic, maybe
Exactly.
maybe to Punta Cana, maybe to San Domingo, and you will see a different lens of reality as the same as when I go to, for example, North Carolina, or South Carolina, because I don't know anything about South Carolina. North Carolina, yeah, a little bit because of the thing that I told you before our camera. But South Carolina seems like there's a lot of there's a lot of different things to do, and you have great things that you can uphold with friends and stuff like that. You will not say that that's an horrible place to live because you have a different political view, do you?
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
would ya? Like, what's going on, right?
It's a crazy thing. It's a crazy thing. You have to love where you're from. You have to love where you live. And the funny thing is that people talk about like nationalism all the time. A lot of the American left is called nationalism evil. And it's so funny because the number one criticism that people bring up is, well, you can't control where you were born. And it's like, well, that doesn't mean anything. Because the truth is, like, yeah, you can't control where you're born, but that's not the reason why you love where you're born. You love where you're born not because you chose it, but because loving where you're born makes your country better. Everyone knows that the consequentiality of loving your own people means that your people have a better life. Because if a country is all built on one firm foundation of identity and of shared nationality, then that is what makes a country able to act in union, in concert. That's the only reason why all Americans were able to go to World War II and fight overseas, is because they were American. They knew that
Pretty
together
much.
we were fighting this battle. I wonder what would
Yep.
happen today in the countries of the UK, wherein slowly but surely they're being mass
Oof.
immigrated. If
Oy, oy,
today the
oy.
UK had to go to a war
Ish.
over their territory, I wonder how many of these people who just moved to the UK 2 years ago would feel. Would they fight or would they dodge the draft? I think they dodged the draft.
I think so too. And you know what, the UK situation and the Brexit and the anonymous kind of location with the IP and the freedom speech thing that's going on UK. It's horrible because a lot of Americans have Puritan heritage of the 1766 story, not story only, about the history itself. And it really hurts. Like, you literally are, and in your case, particular case, one of the found like, your heritage is one of the founders of the country, and you see all this misleading and all this crazy stuff going on in the United States. You will be like, I need to do something because I'm literally being displaced in something that I own, fighting and battling with all the sacrifice that my predecessors did to fight a war. That's really profound and deep, and people do not understand that. It's the same thing, right?
Exactly. A nation is far more than a border. It's far more than a collection of people. And as much as many of the left love to ignore that and love to say that a nation is just an economy or a nation is all these things, a nation is far more cultural than that. And I think they'll find that the American people has a strong spirit and they will not allow themselves to be taken over. They will not allow themselves to be displaced. And they will keep their land as the American land. And it's not a white thing, it's not a black thing. We've had black people here since what? Like since the nation was founded. We've had many people of different races and colors, but we are American. We have American culture. And the American culture is having some black people. Like, that's a part of American culture. And
Yep.
so people want to displace that, people want to change that, but the American people won't let it happen. True Americans who care about America are not interested in having their nation conquered through a slow influx of people who hate their own country. And that doesn't go for all immigrants, because some immigrants love America. Those people
Oh
need to be
yeah.
allowed to come. I mean, you look at like people, like, you ever hang out with a Cuban American?
Oh yeah, man. Those
Cuban
those guys are
Americans love
incredible. I
America
did
more
I
than
do have family
any.
from Cuba.
Exactly. Cuban Americans love America because they know what it's like when a nation goes to crap. That's the truth. And so these people, it's not a white or black thing at all. I mean, I know plenty, even a lot of Mexicans who just love this country and they are full on Americans just as much as me. But the thing is that America needs to be maintained for what it is. And what it is far more than just a border. I can say that.
No, definitely, and it's really interesting. So I don't know if I can ask you this because this was just out of the blue, but it's pretty interesting. So you have family from one of the Puritans and members from 1766.
Yeah, we have a family going back, or I don't have family from the Puritans. I have family going back to the Revolutionary War.
Okay.
So my last name Heberlin has been traced back to it's a Hessian German name. So the Hessians were contracted by the British Army to fight on behalf of the British. And so funnily enough, one of my ancestors fought for the British, and then somewhere along the road
Damn.
they wound up sticking around in America, and that's the first American Heberlin, I guess. But yeah,
Wow, that's amazing. That I never. Wow. So you basically karmically you're doing the same thing that you were doing before, but now with the culture war.
I guess so. Yeah.
That's amazing, man. You should uphold that information to you and to all the followers, because people will say like, okay, this is not for cloud. You literally are passionate about this, and that's amazing. So, you know, I don't know if I can further go. I want to do more questions if you're able to. I don't know. Do you want me to ask you more questions though? Because I want
Sure.
to ask you a lot of questions
Sure. I
because
can
it's
take as
really
many questions
interesting
as you need. Yeah.
how open that you're going for. Like, so do you think I have a complicated subject right here? It's gonna be a little bit harsh question. What do you think about like um people that are like four or five generations in United States, but they don't feel American enough, so they want to leave. They always say they want to leave. but they actually just like trying to uphold a different narrative all the time. What do you think about those people?
I say let them leave. I say get out. I don't know. It's like the truth is that if you don't call yourself an American, you want to call yourself something different. It's like, that's the best indicator more than anything. Like I know people who are like, I am a like, if you talk to, I know people who are ethnically Chinese who call themselves American. That person
Hmm.
is probably an American. But the best indicator is if someone says, "Oh, what are you?" "Oh, I'm Chinese." It's like maybe you're not American. Like so, if these people, it doesn't matter how long you've been here. You could have been here for 1,000 years. I know people who have lived in America for 10 years who are more American than some of these people. So if you want to sit here and talk about moving every day and I just want to get out, America doesn't represent me. You know what? That's one less loser. Get out of here. You don't you disgrace your nation. Your ancestors fought. Like imagine being so spoiled and so like disgraceful that your people who bore your family name fought in World War II, World War One, the Vietnam War, the Korean War. Like, that's some just in my family.
Yeah,
If
even
your
Iraq.
family, exact Iraq, if your family name goes back to conflicts where family members have died for your nation, and then you say like, well, America's bad because like America's oppressive. It's like, you should get the hell out of here because you're not an American and you disgraced your family with every anti-American word. That's the truth of it.
And it's interesting because it seems like it's a rhetoric that doesn't end, and you can follow up the trace of these people, and at the end it's the same common denominator: money, misinformation, and extremist rhetorics, which I really condemn. I have a question for you, man. What do you think about the picture that has Andrew Tate, um, Nick Fuentes, and they put it as a meme. Actually, they put it like all the whole with Sneak Code too. They put it like the Avengers, and other people put it like the Queer for Palestine. What do you think about that?
There's some funny videos that came out of that night. I can say that. I don't hate the people. I don't hate all the people there, but I see it that at the end of the day, it's like, some guys went to a club in Miami and everyone freaked out. My favorite thing is Clavicular is one of the people there. He
Ah,
posted,
clavicle. Yeah, my
yeah,
wife loves clavicle because my wife is
he's a
into the
funny
Luke's
guy.
Maxing world,
Yeah.
and she's like, "Oh my god, this is fascinating. The orbital looks is a 180 degrees,
He's
so you
very
need to know."
interesting. He's very interesting.
That guy is
Clavicular is
incredible.
very interesting. And so what Clavicular said, which I thought was funny, is all of Twitter right now is hating from outside of the club, is what I saw, which I thought was pretty funny. It's just like,
Damn.
you know what? Some guys went to a club, they played an edgy song. Some of the videos are pretty corny, I'll be honest. The video where they're all in the car and they're playing it and no one will sing the lyrics, it's like, okay. But this feels, yeah, listen, okay, if you're gonna be edgy, you're gonna be like risky, you gotta have your heart in it, okay? If you're gonna
Yeah, it's
be,
true. It's true. You need to
yeah,
triple down. I mean,
yeah,
I don't
exactly.
respect the song either. I do not
No, yeah.
condemn it either. I'm more like a neutral position because I don't like to fafo anything. I actually don't like to fafo anything. Like I don't like to go around and find out. I'm not one of those people. I
Yeah.
just like to do commentary sometimes, which are controversial in Spanish. But I don't like to like nip it in the bud and trying to write.
Yeah, it's
But
like
then
you
at the
can say
same,
whatever dumb stuff you want. That's the way I feel about it.
yeah, but you're not freedom. You're not free of consequences. That's the thing
No, you're
too.
not. Yeah, then you get
Yeah.
banned. It's like, well, if you're gonna do some stuff in a privately owned business, yeah, the business can ban you. It's like, did you not think that could
Yeah.
happen? If I go into a
Yeah.
restaurant, I start like doing like crazy stuff, like hailing Hitler like a freak, Like you're gonna get banned. Like I don't know, like that's where I'm like, okay, everyone who's saying like, see, like Nick knew he was gonna get banned. I mean, he knew that, like, right? Surely. But then everyone else is like, what? We're banned? We played the song about Hitler in the club, and now the club doesn't want us there. It's like, yeah, they probably don't want you there. You played the
Hmm.
song about. It's like, was the math that hard? Did it really like you didn't see this coming? I don't know. It's just so stupid to me.
It is though. It's controversial. Actually, they gain a lot of momentum because even I see that thing, but it was like, okay, I think enough is enough in one sense because it seems like a little bit to me a little bit harsh. Not in the way of oh they're attacking Jews. It's more in the way of, if you are okay. So if you are this big of a political commentator, right, and you have this harsh, really strong ideals, you gonna if you double down on things like this, you just look like clumsy and silly. You look you look like you're like going on and things that, I mean, you look like you are going in a way that it will take you out of the respect game. I don't know if I can, like, I've explained it
I
myself.
agree. It doesn't. They didn't do it like okay. I believe that people can be as edgy as they want, you know. And I find edgy jokes funny. I think when people say edgy stuff, but the thing is, it has to be funny. Okay.
Yeah,
You could say the edgiest thing in the universe, but if it's funny, I don't care. A lot of the jokes weren't that funny, and that's where I was like, "Oh, this is cringy. This is just cringy."
yeah,
Like I don't look at it and think you guys are evil. This is evil. I just think you
yeah,
guys aren't very funny right now. This is kind of corny. This is a little bit embarrassing. Everyone's in the
yeah.
club and they're panning the car and they're all saying like Bubba, like the song, and then like they put the camera to their face and they won't sing the lyrics because they're shy. It's like, oh, dude, oh, it's brutal.
Yeah, it is harsh. Clavicular, though, I want to talk a little bit about him because I was investigating about Clavicular story, and there's a picture that went viral with his, I think, grandmother that was she taking a picture,
I
and
love that
it was,
photo. It's so
he's
awesome.
so organic, man. Like anything,
He's jacked and his grandma's taking the photo. It's awesome.
his kid is crazy, but I need to tell you something. He's organic as if, man. Like that guy
He
is
is.
organic. Whatever he's doing.
I've followed him for years. I've followed him for years. And I've seen his come up, and I remember like watching because I think he's funny. I think he's so funny. And I remember watching his YouTube videos when he had like 2,000 subscribers, and
Mhm.
he's like making a video where he's like, "I hate dating apps. Dating apps are terrible," and like all this stuff. And it's like this guy is real. Whatever he's whether you like it or not.
Whatever
See,
it's up to is real.
that's where people don't like me. Is like I'd rather watch the guy who's real but like kind of crazy and maybe evil than the guy who's like not authentic, but at least he's saying the right stuff. Like if you're being paid out and you're not actually saying what you believe, I don't want to hear what you have to say because it's like I'm like if I wanted to hear what some company believed, I'd watch what the company said. You know, I want to hear what you think.
It's really interesting. So, last but not least, do you have a general message for people that don't know you, or like something that you want to say? Imagine I'm someone that you really hate, and you will tell me something like from the profanity of all your good advices. What is an advice that you will tell someone that are doing like content creation, or that hates you because of what you're saying?
Well, I guess I'll split it into two parts. So the people that hate me, this is how I think about it, and I think about like you know, it's easy to hate someone for what they believe, but the truth is, everyone in politics, for the most part, all has the exact same goal. And the goal is make the country better. They just disagree on how to get there. And so when you think about it, like when someone apologizes to you, like in school, someone hits you, if they didn't mean to hit you, then you're not mad at them because they didn't mean to. Like being evil is about intention, and everyone in politics has just about the same people who aren't paid out.
Pretty much.
If you're bought out, fuck you. But like if you're not bought out, like people who aren't paid out all have the same goal, which is make the country a better place. So then why do you hate someone for them thinking about a different way to get to that goal if they're wrong? Never attribute that
True.
to malice, which can easily be attributed to ignorance. These people aren't doing what they're doing because they're evil. They're doing it because they're just wrong. So if you're a leftist and you think that I'm wrong, I'm not evil. I don't like hate everything. Like if you think that supporting ICE will lead to the destruction of America, I'm not in my room at night like, how can I destroy America? It's like, no, I just think it won't do that. That's the difference. So it's like, why do you hate me for like how I think we should get to the same goal? I only hate people who have a different goal. Like if your goal is like I want to kill everybody, then I hate you. Like
Yeah.
but that's how I feel about it. So the people that hate me, I'd say like you're kind of irrational because we have the same goal. So like you'd never hit on someone on the same group project because they thought about a different way to write the paper, you know? You never would. So
Yeah, you
it's
will never would.
irrational. It's irrational.
Mm-hmm.
And then to the people who want to make content, I can say you're gonna be hated. Okay, like most people don't follow that advice. So it's like whenever I make content, I can say personally, I probably within the time that we've done this video call have gotten 3 death threats, if I had to guess.
3. Oh my God, that's
Probably.
crazy. In an hour and a half? That's
Probably, yeah.
crazy.
I can actually
Oh my
verify that. I
God.
can fact check this, but
Oh
I'll
my
fact check after
God.
this. But I probably have gotten like multiple death threats, and so for me, it's like people are gonna hate you. But the truth is, if you believe something, you have to realize that if you believe anything in the world, the majority of people will dislike that and probably dislike you. Every idea, there's no idea on the planet except for like don't kill people randomly, like stuff like that.
Yeah,
But really,
pretty
like
much.
if you get into actual belief, like none of your beliefs ever will have more than 50% of the world on your side. None of them. You'll always be hated by most people
That's
for
true.
them. So you have to realize that these people hate you. They just don't know your name. So if they know your name, what's the difference? It's like, yeah, now they can text you about it. Now they can say like, I want to kill you. It's like, but they wanted to kill you anyway. They just didn't know they didn't know who to kill. Like,
Yeah, they just want to uphold
So
intention or
so it
something. Yeah.
changes nothing. It changes nothing because people would always have felt this way if they knew it or not. Now they just know it. So that's the way I see it. Is and also it's a there's a quote. I think it's a Alexander Hamilton quote where it's like, those who stand for nothing will fall for everything. It's like you can't if you don't really stand for what you believe in, you're just gonna get I don't know, you're just a loser. In my opinion, you're just a loser. Like, especially if you're a man. If you're a woman and you want to just live like a Catholic life and have a husband and, like retire, it's like, don't do politics, okay? But if you're a man, a Christian man who believes in standing up for what's right, and you're just like sitting here in your chair, like, well, I don't know, like, maybe I don't want my friends to be mean to me. It's like you're a loser. You stop, get out of your
Wow.
pride, get out of your head, and start saying what's true.
Well, well, well. Exactly. Like like why do you stand in politics though? Because you will receive a lot of hate comments. So it is what it is. Um, Jackson, I'm really happy to have you here. It was a pleasure. I do want to tell you that it was a really good interview, and I do I understand that you're doing an excellent job, and I appreciate having you here because as a conservative or a political figure or a political commentary, it's really important to have your ideas, do your own research and investigation, and actually, having thoughts about what you want to say. So I really appreciate your time, Jackson. For real. I was like, I just hit it up on Instagram and have the opportunity to have a chat with you. So I do appreciate everything, man.
Gosh, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed the interview and I'm very happy to be here.